Hey there again, everyone. Welcome back to the workshop and another part of the journey that we're taking on this guitar. Again, why fix a cheapy little guitar like this? Well, mainly because I can give it to someone who can't afford to get a guitar, doesn't have a guitar, and wants to learn how to play, and been able to do that some over the years. So mainly kids. I just try to find somebody who's interested. Hey, you want to teach me how to play guitar or whatever, and you show them a few chords and let them keep this for a while and figure out if they really want to play or not. I've been playing since I was 7 or 8 years old, so kids can start pretty young, and so just trying to pass some stuff along. Here's what I've done. We're gonna in the first part of the video, we kind of focused on that end and getting the bridge situated, and I think we're in good shape there. What I've done, a couple of things off camera, let me get you caught up here. A couple of things that I've done off camera. You can see I've taped off this fretboard because I'm going to do a fret leveling. This body joint fret is super high. I'm going to have to take quite a bit off of that, and then it kind of falls away here. That's kind of expected. Again, low-end guitar, but I'm going to get that. If I don't, let me kind of show you what it does here. If I take the, see how much it, hopefully the camera's picking that up. Got a huge amount of unevenness here, and there's several others down through here, so I'm just going to do the whole thing. We'll probably have to sand quite a bit here to get this leveled off. Here I've got my 12-inch sanding block and some 320 sandpaper. I don't want to go any heavier than that unless I have to, but we'll see how this goes. There's also some pretty decent fret wear, so this guitar has been played quite a bit actually, especially up in this part of the neck. So the main focus of this part of the video, I'm going to do a fret leveling, recrowning, and all of that, and then we're going to focus on the headstock because that's in pretty bad shape. Somebody had a go at, I'm not sure what, but anyway, we're gonna, I've jumped on that Amazon thing and ordered a cheapy set of sealed tuners. We're going to put those on there, and if we need to fill holes or anything, we'll tackle that. I have not even taken the old tuners out to see how bad all of that is. Now, what I'm doing here, again, I've taped off the fretboard. I do that all the time because I don't want to mark on the fretboard. And I take this magic marker and I mark over all the top of the frets, and that way as I'm sanding, when the marker is gone, then the frets are level, and then I will remark them as I'm doing the crowning. And I'll try to show you this, but what I try to do is leave just the tiniest sliver as I'm recrowning, the tiniest sliver of the magic marker, and that maintains level, because once we get these all leveled, we don't want to lose that. So now this is a 12-inch sanding block, radius block, and I've got some gauges here. I've taken the 12-inch. It is a 12-inch radius neck, so we're in good shape there. I've got the 12-inch radius block with some 320 grit. So I am going to hit all of these, but I'm going to start and spend a little bit of time down in this area because, like I said, this body joint fret is a lot higher than the rest of them. So this one's going to have to come down quite a bit. And that's not a big deal because on this guitar, you're not really going to play up in here anyway. It's not designed for that. And as a learning guitar, most learning is going to be done down in this area. So I'm not concerned about it. But in order for me to get the setup that I want and get the action nice and low and really nice and playable, I am going to level all this out. So not sure how much of this I'll show, or how much, if I'll kick it into time lapse or what, but with the radius block, and I've already leveled this as much as possible, and what I did is I took a straight edge, and because the body joint was so high, what I did is I put the straight edge at between these frets here, excluding the body joint fret, and then leveled, got this part of the fretboard as flat as possible. And so hopefully, and then there's fall away here, so it kind of goes this way and then down from once it hits the body, it goes down toward this way. So again, this part not really get played a whole lot anyway, so this is going to be the focus up here, but I've got to bring this guy here down, otherwise if I try to bring the string action down where I want it, it's going to buzz on that fret. So I'm not sure how much of this I'll show, but just so you know, if you're going to try this on your own, perfect kind of guitar to learn on, by the way, because especially for me on this one, because I didn't pay anything for it, but you can pick these up really cheap all over the place. So good guitar for you to learn on if you're wanting to get in to do this. But this is a 12-inch radius block, has the same radius, so not a lot of down pressure. We're going to back and forth, not a lot of downward pressure. So I may do some of this and then kick it into time lapse, and I can feel that. So I am going to focus up in here for the first part of this sanding, just to bring that. What I want to do is bring this fret down, because that's the one that's the highest here. And then recrowning that guy will be interesting as well. Go ahead and take some long strokes here. All right, I'm going to kick the rest of this in the time lapse. You kind of get the drill there. I'll bring you back. Again, we're just kind of looking for when all of the magic marker is gone, then we're level. Okay, that's gonna take care of that. Did have to spend, if you noticed, had to spend a lot of time right around there, and that body joint fret had to take that down quite a bit actually, but looks pretty good. That is the one that got sanded the most. It's really flat, but that'll put everything in good shape when we get ready to put the strings on and set it up and all of that. There's actually a couple of them. The 3rd fret got quite a bit taken off of it. Looks like the 9th fret, and then of course this body joint fret. These I didn't worry about a whole lot. I did hit them just a little bit, but what's going to happen is the action between these 2 points will be the way I like it, and then the string action will get higher up in here because there's what they're called fall away. This part of the fretboard is lower than this part, so the string action will be a little bit higher up in here. But again, this part doesn't really get played a whole lot, especially for someone who's learning. They're going to be focused up in here anyway, so I'm not concerned about that at all. Okay, so now we have level. So I'll remark the frets. Again, these up here aren't super important, but I'll go ahead and do it anyway. Okay, I've repositioned, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to use probably this fret here. I've got my crowning file. This is a diamond fret crowning file. Kind of puts the crown back in things. And again, I'm going to use this fret here, and I'm going to show you, if I can, I'm going to file the crown back in, but leaving just the smallest sliver of the magic marker on the top. So let's see if I can do this for you. And the fret ends on this are not bad, so there's no need for me to mess. Sometimes I go over the edge and kind of take the fret ends down a little bit. This one feels really good, actually. And I hope I'm not hitting the camera. I might have to take you handheld to actually have you be able to see this. But it really doesn't take much with the diamond crowning file. And yeah, you can't see that. Let me bring you handheld. I'm trying to get you in the light. I can see it. Maybe if I used a darker color that would work. Maybe you can see it right there. There's the smallest sliver of a magic marker left on the top. And what I'll do is each one of these frets, I will try to do that, and that puts the crown back in but keeps level. And that helps the frets not wear as bad because there's not as big of a flat spot. And so you don't get a bunch of string grooves in the frets as quickly. So, all right, that's kind of the drill. I'm going to just pause this part of the video and I'm going to do the recrowning. Welcome back. Continuing on this adventure of getting this inexpensive Johnson acoustic guitar playing. And why fix it? So I can hopefully share the love of playing guitar with someone else. So this will get fixed up and passed on to someone else who will play it, learn how to play, get a guitar of their own. I'll get this back and just pass it down the line. So that's kind of the purpose of doing this. Again, it's just my time and raiding the hoard a little bit. It's not really costing me anything. I did do a little bit of work off camera. When I last left you, I was talking to you about you watched me sand down the frets, level them with the 12-inch radius block, and then I talked to you about putting the crown back in and leaving the smallest sliver of the magic marker there. And then I went ahead and I took 600 grit sandpaper, went over the top of all the frets, and then I typically polished them, and I had been doing that by hand, but I saw somebody else on YouTube do this, and so I just happened to have this pack of their little buffing wheel set that hooks up to the drill, and so I took this orange colored, put the polish on the frets, and then took this orange colored buffing wheel in the drill and ran that up and down, and it did an awesome job and super fast compared to the way that I've been doing it. So I may start doing that from now on, and instead of doing that all by hand, save me a little bit of work. The other thing that I did without you is, you remember I showed you about the neck angle. I went ahead and took the bridge down a little bit with a combination of, I used a razor blade to scrape across the top, just a regular razor blade, and I scraped some on it, and then sanded it with some sandpaper, and then I put linseed oil on it. I also cleaned up the fretboard, put linseed oil on that. But I wanted a little bit more clearance here when we go to fit the saddle, to make sure that we keep enough of the saddle exposed to have some good brake angle going over and down into the holes there in the bridge. So I kind of did that without you. The other thing that I did, I mentioned in the other video, there was some separation back here. I put a little bit more super glue in around there to just kind of fill in everything and make sure everything was settled there. So that kind of gets you up to date where we are. Still needs a good cleanup and all of that. The guitar itself is in kind of rough shape. It's been banged up and scratched up and kind of used and abused, if you will. But we're going to turn our focus to this end of the guitar down here. Let me get some stuff out of the way so you can see and I can work. Here's what we've got, and I'll just kind of show you. Somebody had a go at I don't know if they swapped these or just playing around or what, but there's a couple of things, and we're gonna change these, but let me just show you kind of what's going on. These ferrules, they're supposed to be snug and kind of push in here. These do not. You can see I just pulled those right out with my hand. In fact, if I turn the guitar over, and I've done this, several of these will just fall out. So there's really no need in even having them in there, because we're getting rid of those anyway. So those there was one missing. I only have 5 of the 6, so one of them was missing anyway. But let me kind of flip over here and see if I can do it that way. Yeah, I might be able to, so you can kind of see here. When these were installed, number one, they're not very good tuners in my opinion anyway, but when they were installed, they're installed on the wrong side. So this tuner should be up here, so which would shift everything this way, and in fact they had to adjust and kind of angle these down because they were put in incorrectly. So what I did, let me show you here real quick. Let me just zoom back out a little bit. What I did is I jumped on to Amazon and I picked up, and it was literally $10. I mean, $10 shipped to my house, and I got a set of sealed tuners. And remember when I put the kit together, for those of you watching, I was complaining about the play in these. Well, these have that, but they turn relatively smooth. And once we get them on here and there's string tension on there, that play is going to go away. And for what this guitar is and all of that, it definitely is going to be absolutely fine. Okay, I've moved you, repositioned you here, and hopefully that gives you a little better angle there to see what it is that I'm going to try and do here. I'm not really sure what that is. Came with the tuners. Let's see. I think first order of business, let's get these out of here. So let me find my small screwdriver, excuse me. There it is, right in front of my face, and we'll just get these out of here really quickly. No time at all. I'll probably time lapse it for you because you've all seen somebody use a screwdriver before. So here we go. I'm going to get these out of here and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back with you and I got you handheld. I'm going to try to not bounce you around any more than or as minimally as possible, and kind of let you see these actually line up really well with the top. I'm not sure what somebody was trying to accomplish with the others. So you can see here that everything is lined up pretty well, and I've actually got a screw hole here that lines up with each of the tuners on the back. Now I haven't checked them to see if they're stripped out or anything, but I think what I might do, just to kind of, you can see where these other screws were and all of that, and down in here, because whoever did this put those tuners way down in here where they weren't supposed to go. I may try to clean some of this up a little bit, with maybe put some filler in there and stuff, just to make sure that, or number one, to protect the wood because it's exposed wood, and number one there, and then to help it maybe not look quite so bad. So I'm not exactly sure how I want to tackle that yet. I may start and just, it's not very smooth either. These places are really rough and all of that. Not sure what I want to do here yet, but I just kind of wanted to show you that part of it is going to look really good. Now I didn't put the bushings or ferrules, whatever you want to call them, on the other side, but I do want to flip this around. Actually, I put two of them in and then I stopped because I didn't really need to have them in, but you can kind of see here where the old ones were. So if I could find a little bit bigger of a washer there, that would look a little better, so I'll do that. If I can't, then no big deal. I'm just going to leave that the way it is. Once the strings go on and all that, it's virtually unnoticeable. But let me get you back on the tripod and bring you back and kind of hopefully tell you what I'm going to do back here on the back of this headstock to kind of protect the wood. Most of all, that's the most important thing at this point, protect the wood, but try to level things out, make it not look quite so bad. So hang on, I'll get you back on the tripod. Okay, got you back on there. I think what I'm going to do first is get these tuners back out of here. Oops. Which one did I? It's one that I put it all back together, so do that. I think this one I did too. Okay, these should just come out. And let's see, first I'm going to, because it's these holes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 that we're keeping, and I just grabbed a toothpick here so I could point and hopefully have you see. These are going to be the screw holes for the new tuning machines. That they have this hole here, screw hole, and so if we need to, you've watched me do the little toothpick trick. If I need to do that to get everything snug, then we'll definitely do that with some wood glue and toothpicks. But I think trying to think how I want to tackle this. I don't want to invest a whole lot of time, but if I don't do something, then we've got exposed wood, and that's not a good thing. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm probably blocking you, and I apologize for that. I've got a razor blade, and what I'm doing is just very carefully, I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to level everything back, because it's raised around where these screws were, is very raised around each one of them. So that's what I'm going to do first. And that is going to do a little bit of damage on some of the finish and all of that, but again, I gotta be able to protect the wood. I don't want anything, if it were to get wet or something like that in where these screw holes are with nothing in them, it would the wood would swell, and that could cause even a bigger issue if the wood were to swell and all that. You guys seen wood that gets wet, so gotta avoid that. Again, this is just going to be a student guitar. The main thing is for it to be playable, not that it looks great, because yeah, we don't, that's not my concern here. Is not the looks, it's the playability. So I'm not going to do a whole lot. I was thinking about maybe putting a coat of, I have some brushable lacquer. I was thinking about putting a coat of lacquer over all of this, but I don't even think I'm going to do that. I'll think about that. I can work on that after I get these tuners installed. So I'm not worried about that. In fact, the tuner on that one is covering up one of those. I think each of these tuners is going to cover up one hole. So, and oh, that's the wrong side. Cover up a hole. So we're going to end up with let's see, 1, 2, 3. It's the holes along this edge. Let me grab the toothpick again and use it as a pointer so you can see. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The right along this edge here. What I may do is just take some of the, if I have a dark, I can always stain it though dark. I may just take some, I've got some wood dust, do the little glue trick thing with the, and use that as filler and fill those holes. And then with the wood glue, mix the wood glue with the dust from the wood. I've got some different ones here that I can use, and do that. And then that's what I may do, and then that would seal that, and then put some dark dye over it. I'm probably going to do that without you. I think what I need to do first is check the screws that we know we are going to use, and make sure that the holes are not stripped out. Oh, that one is for sure, because the screw just pushed all the way down to the bottom. We might as well just fix them all. Yeah, I'm gonna just, the screws are just pushing in there. I think I'm just gonna fill them. It doesn't take very long to do. You watched me do this little thing before with the toothpicks and the wood glue, and what I've got, tight bond and a toothpick, and I'm gonna just dip the end of the toothpick right in the glue there, and then break that off, and we'll just let that set for a few. Nope, a little bit too much glue on that one, I think. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and just do these. I'll wipe the glue up once I'm done here. Alright, so that's all there is to that, by the way. Just filling those screw holes. I'm going to grab a paper towel, and I've got some water over here. I'm just going to get the paper towel a little bit damp so I can wipe off the glue. Take the razor blade, level that off, I need to give it a couple of minutes to set up. Can't tell if that's a scratch. Yeah, that's just a ding in the wood there. So, all right, that takes care of that. Need to let that set up for just a minute before I start messing around with it. Do this without too much trouble here. Don't want to cause myself an issue. Getting in too big a hurry here. Yeah, I got to give it some time. Okay, that one did okay. It's that bottom one. I must have got a lot more glue on that bottom one than I did in some of these. All right, that took care of that. Go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and get these tuners installed. Got those tuners put in. Oh, I think I just kicked you there, so hopefully I didn't bounce you too much. Try to get some of this garbage off the bench and out of your line of sight anyway. I did also, while I had the camera paused, went and raided the hoard, and I found, voila, this instead of that. Hopefully you can see the difference there. A little bit bigger of a washer, and it definitely helps kind of cover up the mess. I don't know if you can see that or not, kind of mess that's around the holes there in the peg head. But I did find these bigger washers, so we're going to use those, and it's going to cover most of that stuff up. These other washers will just go back in the hoard. So just throw these on here real quick, and I think we're in the home stretch. Again, I'm gonna, whatever I decide to do on the back there, I think what I'm gonna do is just use some cheap or either some wood filler. I think I might have some in another part of the house, wood filler, or I'll make my own with sawdust and glue and just patch those holes on the back just so they're not exposed. Let me grab, you've heard me talk about this too, when you're doing this and tightening these, you get to where you feel almost like, I mean, you just want them snug. They don't even need to be tight, just snug. So you get, okay, there's snug, boom, there we go, there's a little bit. And so just a tiny amount of pressure is all I put on there. There's no need to, you know, you're not tightening the lug nuts on the car, you know, the tire on your car. So if you get a, you know, I've seen people tighten these so much where it not only puts an indent in the finish, but will actually crack through the finish. And listen, you don't want to do any damage. So we're snug. Once it's snug, just a little bit, and that's all I do. So they're snug, and then boom, that's it. That's all you need. So snug. Get on there. So it's snug, boom, a little bit. That's all you need, just so stuff doesn't move around. All right, so I think we're in really good shape there as far as the new tuners. I don't know if you can see, this happens with the linseed oil. I think you can see that there, where I put linseed oil all along the fretboard and you can see it weeping back out there. And that's really not a big deal. That's pretty typical, and so you just come back over with a paper towel, and then that's all there is to that. That's pretty typical. I usually put linseed oil on, wait like 5 minutes, wipe it off, and then typically you have to wait another 5 minutes or so, and whatever's going to weep out will weep out. And then you wipe that off and you're good. So there's kind of a look at the guitar. I think we're close to maybe starting to try to set this thing up. I'm trying to think what else needed to be done other than cleaning it up. I still need to deal, as I mentioned, I need to deal with screw holes back here, but I'm going to do that, I think, without you. I'm not going to bore you to death with that. Let's see, we need to find a nut that will work and a saddle that will work, and then I think, nope, there's one other thing that I needed to do. So I'm going to reposition you and talk about what I need to do. So hold on a minute. Okay, I've repositioned you back on the bridge, and as I mentioned, I lowered the top of the bridge a little bit, and again, I just did that with a combination of scraping and sanding, and then I oiled the top. So it looks pretty good, but it gives us a little more room here to play with. What it also does for us is it's, I don't want to say it creates a problem, but it does something that we have to deal with. So I've taken off to the point where I'm going to have to ream out the bridge pin holes a little bit, because the taper on the bridge pin, I've lowered this so it doesn't go down as far into the bridge like it should. So I've got a reaming tool. Grab that from up here and kind of show you how this guy works. So there's the reaming tool, and just do this little bits at a time, because it doesn't take much with this thing. It's pretty sharp. And what that'll do for me is it'll clean up the glue also that squeezed out when I was gluing the bridge back on. So now if I put the bridge pin in there, that's actually a pretty good fit. So I think you can see that there. Yeah. It's kind of dark on dark, so it's, I don't know how well you can see it, but let me bring a bridge pin up here and see if I can explain to you. Focus kit. You see this ridge right here. You see the top part of the bridge pin, the little ball on the top, and then there's this ridge right here. That's the part I try to get that even with the top of the bridge. So that's what I'm going to do for all of these, and that will get us ready to be able to find a bridge or a saddle and a guitar nut and put that on and start thinking about putting some strings on it. So let me pause you, and when I get ready to get some strings back on this thing, I will bring you back. Alright, welcome back. This is going to be the last segment on this. It's just a really cheapy, inexpensive Johnson acoustic guitar that hopefully you've been following along through the couple of parts of this. And just kind of a recap, had to do the bridge was lifted here, so it re-glued that, put some new bridge pins in, a new bone saddle. Again, I just kind of rated the Horde here. Purpose of this was not to make the guitar perfect, but playable, and that's what we ended up with. I gave it a really good clean, as I think you can see hopefully there on the camera. I still haven't done anything back here as far as filling these holes. Again, I'm going to do that without you. I just wanted to kind of close this segment out. You can see I got strings on the guitar. The action is incredibly low. Taking the material off the top of the bridge there really helped, because you can see the amount of saddle that's still exposed there. And maybe you can see, I talked about the fall away here, the action, once you get to the body fret, the fretboard goes down, so the action gets really high up in here, but this guitar never intended to play up in there. So as long as you're below the 12th fret and below it, and these strings are still stretching, so they may, it's not bad, might be a little bit out of tune because the strings are still stretching, but I did give it a good cleanup, and it cleaned up fairly well. Again, this has been kind of used and abused. It's got dings and scratches and chips out of the finish all over the place on the edges and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just a little beater guitar. If you needed something like to sit around the campfire or whatever, if you're going to buy a starter guitar, I don't recommend this one. You can message me and I've got some good recommendations for inexpensive but good quality, good playing starter guitars. So but this one, again, this came to me at no cost. Somebody picked it up at a yard sale and gave it to me, and I'm gonna pass it along and let somebody learn how to play guitar. But I've got it all set up, so I thought I would just strum it a little bit and let you see how it sounds. Not a bad sounding little guitar for somebody to just beat on and learn on and all that kind of stuff. Not a bad sounding little guitar, and the action, like I said, the action is incredibly low. I put light strings on this. It's got 12s, but I want to keep an eye on things. It had strings. It actually had strings on it when it came to me, and so the strings haven't been off of it all of that long, but I do want to just kind of let it sit and settle and all that kind of stuff and see if things are going to change any at all. So I'll keep it up here, play it every once in a while, and just check it again over the next several days, and then make contact with someone and see if they want to take possession of it for a little while and learn how to play guitar. Learn G, C, and D, and you can play a lot of songs with that. So, and then go from there. So, some little kid's going to have a lot of fun with this, I think. So, anyway, thanks for following along. I'm going to let you go on this, and I'll be back soon with another video on the channel. Thanks for watching.